So this is the InfoSec BattleBots kit robot. Or at least this is the version 2. We had the version 1 of this out at NIDC about a week ago, and we noticed some areas for improvement and things that we could do a little bit better. So we've done that. We're hoping to have these ready hopefully around Christmas time this year, so 2023. But we'll see how we go. We don't want to rush it out. It's not good. So this is the version 2. A couple of changes that we made to it was we added an extra one of these little rungs, I guess you call them, onto the motor mounts, so that it gives a little bit of extra grip for the motor, because we found that it was wobbling around a lot with just the one. And we added in, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on this print specifically because it's a little bit fuzzy, this one, but there's a little lip just there, just in that second ring. And what that's for is that's to stop the motor going too far that way. So if it starts to go that way, it'll hit, basically the hole on that side is too small for the motor to fit through, so it'll just butt up against it. Because we'd find that, after it was getting smacked about, that the motors were basically sliding in and disappearing, even with glue and all that good stuff. So you'll also notice underneath, so it's supported all the way underneath, but there's a little, just in there, there's a little hole, and that notch is for a zip tie. This is obviously a kit built thing, so we want to make sure that it's as little tools as you may need to be able to build it. We want to run this for kids and schools and all that stuff, as well as people who maybe haven't done much electronics before and all that good stuff. So a zip tie around the motor, crank it really tight, and that will be enough to hold it in a fight. But what I do also for if we're doing any workshops or anything like that is bring the hot glue gun out and let people just put big dollops of hot glue in there, because enough hot glue in there and that motor is not going anywhere. It does make repairability a little bit of an issue, but just don't lose and then you won't need to repair it. Another thing we added here was at the back, was for the switch, a little mount to mount the switch in there, and also need to laser cut some new tops so that there's a gap there to be able to flick it on and off. It's just something I completely forgot to do in the version 1, so that's in there. The electronics that's in this one is called a Malinky. That's not what we're going to be shipping the kits with. We'll be shipping them with these style of receivers. Obviously it will look a lot nicer than that. This one's been mangled a few times. But that style of receiver and a ESC, a dual motor controller to go to. The Malinky is a nice compact thing, but they're expensive. Whereas with this, we're trying to keep the costs as low as possible, so that lower the barrier of entry. It'll also include a transmitter, a bit like this one, to be able to control it. We wanted to use those ones, again, keeping the cost down, rather than the likes of these ones, which are really nice, but they are expensive. Yeah, they bring the cost way up, because those these kind of controllers are about £60 at least. So we didn't want to use them, so we found a nice supplier for these. It was a lot cheaper, so it'll help keep the cost down. Running off a 2-cell LiPo at the minute. We're probably going to have that as like an add-on and instead run these from a 9-volt square battery, just so that people don't have to start messing around with LiPos and chargers and all that stuff right out of the box. Because we're just running 2 N20 motors off this. A 9-volt battery is enough for that. If you were then going for the upgrade kit, which is another fun fact of these, is that they're going to be upgradable, and we're going to have kits and upgrade paths for it. So you might be able to see the little screw holes there on this one, and that is for a mount for a spinner attachment, so that you can attach one of these style motors, these brushless motors, in there, basically at an angle, attach a blade, and you've then got a spinner, and the actual mount will be printed in TPU flex material, so that it absorbs a little bit of the wobble whenever the motor's going, and some of the impacts whenever it hits things, because if anyone's built a spinner before, you'll know they tend to break if not well supported. So printed in TPU will help absorb that. If you run the spinner, you'd need a LiPo. With a 9-volt battery, just won't run a brushless motor as well as everything else. It just won't run it very well. But we wanted to keep it, again, trying to keep that barrier of entry really low. So we wanted to avoid LiPos if we can, but we'll have them as like an optional extra of, okay, if you want a LiPo, you can get it, but by default it'll be built for a 9-volt cell. The chassis itself, this one's printed in PLA. This one is printed in PETG. We have a treadmill printer, so we can print them quite quickly. This was the first test of the treadmill printer. It's very stringy, the print is a bit meh, but I think that's down to the fact that this is PETG, and PETG is quite stringy anyway. But I'm still not happy with the quality of it completely, so we'll see. This one's printed PLA, but it was printed just on the standard printers, and the quality is a lot better. But this is PLA, so it's not as good structurally. I would like to do these ABS, so if I don't end up using the treadmill printer to help build, then I will probably print these in ABS, just so that it's a lot stronger, because ABS is so much tougher than PLA and even PETG. It's just a little bit fiddlier to print with, but I mean, we can live with that. Onto the armor itself. So the top is 1mm acrylic, so it's nice and just flexible, light material. It's not really here to take hits, it's just here to keep the electronics in and stop things from rattling about. But it holds up reasonably well. It can take a bit of abuse, but not a lot. As you can imagine, it's quite thin. The front, however, is 4mm acrylic. I am looking at getting polycarb for this. Polycarb is just so much tougher, but I have a laser printer to cut these to size and cut out the screw holes, and as far as I'm aware, polycarb doesn't laser cut nicely, especially at bigger thicknesses. So I'm going to get that tested, see how we go. We may stick with the acrylic. I was pleasantly surprised with the acrylic though. I did this because I had it, and I threw this in with one of our spinners at NIDC on the version 1, and this is the second armor piece we put on, which you can see is taking a little bit of damage and some scuffs on it. But the first one actually took a good amount of abuse before it cracked. For anyone who doesn't know, the difference really between acrylic and polycarb, apart from the chemical difference, is that acrylic will tend to crack and shatter when it gets damaged, when it gets worn, but polycarb will like chip and scuff. So it can take a lot more abuse before it starts to actually fail, whereas acrylic, it can't take as much punishment. But again, this went up against one of our nastiest spinners, Blender, and took several hits. I was driving the kit, and I drove it straight into its face so many times. We do have videos of it we'll be putting up hopefully soon, and like it survived really well. I was pleasantly surprised, so I won't be quite as upset if we do have to go with the acrylic, if I can't laser cut poly. So I mean, I think it'll actually be not bad. So that's good, especially for a first kit, because your first kit, you get it destroyed, you rebuild it, you repair it, that's all part of the fun. You know, duct tape it back together and you're good to go. So that's the armor, and then the wheels are 3D printed as well. So we have PETG for the inner hub, and then TPU for the outer. So these are just printed separately and they snap together. So yeah, the TPU, the flex for the outer works quite well because it's nice and grippy, and then like I say, the hub is PETG, but I have printed a lot now in just PLA because it doesn't really matter what the hub is. This just needs to be a solid, rigid material, whereas the tires need to be flexible. I have new tires printing that are about double the thickness. A couple of reasons for that is this gets a little bit of wheel spin. Let me demonstrate. So hopefully you can see that. So there's a bit of wheel spin on that. Just it doesn't have as much grip as the likes of a rubber tire, or like a Lego tire, even potentially. The ones that have rubber on there are plastic, flexible plastic. But I wanted to make the double walled ones, or the double wide, because it'll give a little bit more surface area, which might help, but more importantly, it gives more surface area for you to put stuff on. Again, we want this to be upgradable, and you can make it your own, and you can get some nice like grip tape. So I think it's meant to be used on the bottom of shoes to like give a little bit of grip if you've got quite slidey shoes, and it gives you more room to wrap a bit of that around and get grip that way. So yeah, we wanted to do that as well. So yeah, that's it. We're hopefully having this ready for Christmas, if we can get away with it, or around Christmas this year. If we can, we'll see how we go. I don't want to rush it. I want to make sure that it's actually good. Cheap, but good is what we're trying to aim for. And then we'll hopefully be doing some workshops here in the UK. So I'm based in Belfast. I'll be running them out of Farset Labs. And we have some that'll be ran in the UK, probably around Newcastle area-ish, depending. So yeah, if you have any suggestions for this and you want to see it do, let me know. As I said, we've got the spinner attachment. We're also going to have a flipper attachment, but the spinner one is the one that is going to come with whenever we release. The flipper, I might get it ready in time, I may not, but I wanted to make sure we have at least one upgrade ready for it whenever we actually release it into the wild. And like I say, we'll be doing workshops where we'll take you through how to build them. We'll have tools and spares on hand in case anything breaks and all that good stuff. So yeah, see you later.